Welcome to Dugout Therapy, a baseball podcast about the mental game built by coach greats. If you're looking to succeed both on and off the field, this is the place for you.
Which is baseball is a game of failure. And if you're coming out of high school and you're trying to play college ball, you have to be extremely confident in your abilities and to stay true to your confidence and what you think you can do and what you know you can do. There's an element of humility. You have to stay humble, but you have to be extremely confident in what you know you can do, because you're a 400, 500 hitter in high school. It's a lot more challenging in college, and so there's going to be a lot of failure. And the big game is all about failure, how you handle it.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Dugout Therapy. I'm your host, Dave Wodzis, here with my co-host, Quinn Adams, and we are having a... Hey, Quinn, how you doing, bud?
Not well, but we can get into that later.
I'll cut you off now, but we'll get into it. Quinn's a little upset about the Twins' loss, and we'll definitely be sure to talk about it. But I got a really cool guest today. One of our partners, Paul DeBellis from GloveLock, the founder over there, going to tell us a little bit about his story today and how GloveLock came to be, and I'm really excited to chat further with him. We got to partner up earlier this year and get his product out in our crates for our subscribers. So really excited to have you on here, Paul.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Quinn. I appreciate it. It's a pleasure. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I guess maybe to start, could you just fill in our listeners a little bit on your baseball story and how you got here today?
Yeah, to get all the way to a baseball product. Well, of course, I grew up playing baseball. The Little League, high school. I tried playing a little bit in college, played some junior college, and then kind of lost the passion for it. And then I picked up actually probably about 3-4 years after college finished in an adult league when I was 24. Okay. So I was playing in an adult league, 18 and over, just a local league in Santa Barbara, California, and picked up my love and passion for the game again, and joined a team. And I've been actually playing with that team since I was 24, 43 now. So do the math. I've been playing on the same summer league, adult league team for almost 19 years, which is pretty crazy. Awesome. Yeah. Still love the game. Just got back from Arizona, played in a men's adult league baseball tournament called not the College World Series, but the World Series. It's called NABA baseball, awesome. National Adult Baseball Association World Series out in Arizona. So we go out there, we travel out there, rent a house, and play baseball on all the spring training fields. We bebop around from Tempe to Mesa, Goodyear. We play on all the spring training fields of all the pro fields, and it's absolutely incredible.
That's awesome.
Good weather. It's baseball.
It's
potentially, if you win, 8 games in 4 days. So it's it's all baseball.
Where do I sign up?
Yeah. It's an incredible experience. The fields are incredible. They have top-notch people working on their fields all the time to get it ready for the game. And you usually play a doubleheader for a couple games. You play 5 games round robin and then playoffs. So I just got back. So I'm icing my knees. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Ice the knees, take care of them. Yeah. I messed up mine enough in college.
Yeah. I caught for too many years, and so my knees are.
Oh.
Yeah.
So are you coaching at all?
I used to coach out of college. I actually was a basketball guy. I was going to college to become a D1 basketball coach. And then I coached at a high school, and they needed a baseball coach because basketball was in the fall and in the winter. And in the spring, they didn't have a coach. So I coached at a high school, just some freshmen. And I had so much fun coaching baseball. I stopped basketball altogether. And so I was coaching. And that was kind of part of it why I got back into baseball, because I was like, oh, sure, I'll coach. And I got into it. I fell in love with it. It couldn't be more beautiful than 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're working on the field, waiting for the kids to come out of high school, and you're by yourself on the field, and you're just tending to a field. It was a lot of fun for me. Santa Barbara, California is, 75 and sunny a lot of the time. So it was
jealous
beautiful.
Of that.
Yeah, it was epic. Yeah, to be out there by myself working on the field, and then of course coaching and kind of relaying the knowledge that I had onto the little kids and 14-year-olds. And so that's when I started to coach. I coached for about 4 years. I watched those kids from freshman year go through all the way to sophomore, junior, senior, and then I stopped coaching and I got actually into personal training and fitness and athletic coaching.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I'm not coaching, but I'm still playing.
Yeah, no, I mean, hey, playing that long is awesome. I didn't play this past year just to give, I think, my body a break, and I think I'm getting the itch again. So maybe I'll do Sunday League next year or something. But yeah, no, coaching's it's rewarding for sure, and I think that's cool that you got to see kids go through freshman to senior year like that. Got to kind of stay with that group and see them develop. But yeah, that's awesome. Besides catching, what other positions did you play or are still playing?
Yeah, I grew up shortstop, third base in college.
Okay.
And then in the adult league, I was like, I'm done with the infield. It wasn't as exciting. And then I said, you know what? I need some more excitement. And so I said, there's nothing more exciting than being on every pitch and getting in control. I was a little bit of a control freak, kind of still am. And so as a catcher, I was controlling the game, and I had my hands in on everything.
Oh, yeah.
Calling pitches, and then also positioning players and just kind of controlling the game. Because when you're playing in the adult league, you don't really have a manager. There's no real coach. So I was just kind of coaching from behind the dish, and I loved it. And I did it for way too long. And those if you're catching probably in a tournament of 8 games, you're catching 6 of them, you're done, buddy. And I did that for 2 years. So I'm back. I'm back to the third base.
Yeah, bounce back over there. Yeah, that's what I was in college, shortstop, third. I even played a little first, but I played a summer league I didn't play this past year, but I played 5 years before that. And our catcher was kind of like our player coach, and I think that's how a lot of the catchers are. We didn't really have a coach, but he was like our player coach. Would make the lineups, and he had that that leadership side of him. Just comes natural with the position. So it's interesting how you kind of gravitated towards that.
Yeah, there's a lot of history of coaches or catchers becoming coaches, just because they're in so much of every pitch, and so they have to be a little more cerebral than say your center fielder or your left fielder. So.
Oh yeah.
So you started focusing on coaching basketball. How did you pivot from basketball coach to baseball coach to starting your own company centered around baseball gear?
Yeah, that's a great question. It was a long story in the sense that it took years. I jumped into personal training, and that was because I wanted to coach baseball. Personal training gave me the freedom, right, to change your schedule around, to be in control of your own schedule, to allow myself to continue to coach baseball. You don't get paid very much as a coach, high school coach. I didn't really have any desire to be a college coach. I just liked being around the kids. So it was a job that I was able to do, and I really fell in love with it. I wasn't much of an office guy. I'm not a 9-to-5er. I cannot sit in a cubicle. I've never been that way. So I tried it and I loved it, and I'm still in it to this day. I do exercise therapy and personal training on top of, in addition to a lot of the work that goes into the GloveLock. But when I was in personal training, here's how it actually happened: is when I got into personal training, I wanted to get out of personal training. And so I said, how can I do that? And a lot of people, a lot of trainers may think, hey, I'm going to open up a gym. I'm going to become a business owner. I had studied a lot of books about business, and I didn't necessarily want to all of a sudden run a gym, which is 4 times as much work than just being a trainer. So I started to develop products. So I actually was reading just a lot of books about business and got into product development. And so I started creating my own products. So I created about 13 products for fitness, and they were really good, and I got a lot of good feedback. But the challenge of breaking in that industry is very difficult. And then one day I was practicing, getting ready for one of my annual Arizona trips. I was with all my buddies, and we were all practicing, and he saw one of the original GloveLocks on my glove, and I had shared them with some of the guys because they were just some locks that I had gotten at an actual hiking store. They weren't very good. They were big and bulky and cheap. And he said, you should market that. And I had been pushing for the other products, really trying to get into to the industry with the fitness products, and a lot of what makes a product successful lined up with what I could do with the GloveLock. And so that really was a huge shot in the arm and a lot of motivation there, and propelled me to really get going on the GloveLock. So that was, I think, 2015 when it was just kind of the aha moment. You hear about those moments. I was like, you know what, you're right. And I literally went to work, and it was an obsession. And it took a couple years to go from the obsession and a lot of iterations, a lot of trial and error, and see what would work, and to put a product together. And so it went from wanting to do a product and starting in the fitness industry, and then going into the baseball industry, which was a nice little beautiful marriage, because I have a severe obsession with gloves and baseball gear. So it worked hand in hand. So I was able to put the two and two together. My real passion was not so much fitness, it was baseball. And so I was like, you tell me I could work in the baseball industry and do something that I love every day, centered around gloves and baseball gear, I'm in. And so that was a real big motivator. And so I just hit the ground running.
For informing the listeners, what is the GloveLock? Could you just take a moment to describe the product?
Absolutely. So I'm 6'2", 195 pounds. So I'm not small, but I grew up very skinny, and I would say my wrists are skinny. And so whenever I put my hand in a glove, there weren't a lot. When I was coming up, I told you I'm 43. Rawlings was number one. So if you were to put your hand in a glove and you wanted a nice glove, your hand would swim. My hand would swim in the glove. So I was always looking for ways to make the glove tighter. I was always kind of toying with the leather, trying to take the wrist strap, tighten it as possible. I'd add, things inside the glove. I would wrap. They have one of these companies has like it's a Velcro added to it, like a wristband. I would open it before this was even there. I would open it up, throw a wristband around the wrist spot just to make it tighter. And I always wanted my glove to be as tight as possible. I didn't have small hands. It's just I wanted it tight. I didn't want to float. And the only spot on the glove where you can adjust kind of on the go during the game, and that is there to adjust for like a bigger hand or a smaller hand, is the thumb strap and the pinky strap. I mean, you can always wear a batting glove, but as an infielder, I think, David, you would understand this if you're a shortstop. I always loved the ball hitting my hand. I wanted to feel the ball.
Yeah, there's something about that, feeling the glove. It just, rather than I never liked the batting glove feel.
Yeah, I just didn't like the distance between myself, and sweat too. I didn't want the sweat to get in the way, if my hands were slipping in the glove. So I was always fidgeting with the glove. And one day, I just literally got up, got in my car, and I just went looking for something to hold the laces tight. And I tried all kinds of things. A lot of them were big and bulky, but something that I could pull really tightly on those laces and keep it in place, because I know everybody believes in the knots, and a lot of people out there think the knots are the best way, but honestly, you can't get it tight enough for me. And then I always like to adjust it a little bit. I like to fidget when I'm on the field, and so I tighten it down. So I was just okay, this is the spot I need to kind of hit. And so then when I went off to the store, found something. And I actually had it on my glove for probably a good 7-8 years before my teammates saw it and was like, you should market that. So I was using it.
And it was like one of those, I guess, camping like tightener things you were talking about.
Exactly. It was about 2 inches wide, the hole in the middle, and it was for sleeping bags.
Wow. That's crazy.
Because something had to be big enough it didn't work. The sweatshirt ones didn't work or whatever. It had to be big enough for the laces on the leather on my Rawlings. I had a Pro 1000 H. It was a 12-inch. It's a big glove, and so the leather was big. The leather straps were big, so I had to get something big. So I went searching for it, found it, and that was the beginning. That was just when I had it on there, and I never even thought about marketing a product. But then, just that aha moment, took it and I ran with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a super cool story, because I think when you have a conversation about how someone formed a product, a lot of times it's from something they used themselves, or they discovered a need from something of experience, built something around it, and then you find that there's this huge community out there that also would love that. So,
Right.
Like as we're going through that, like I can totally relate. I have like bigger hands, but thin. Like I always like needed to tighten my glove and not to really barely got it tight enough. So when I started, when I found you guys, earlier this year, I tried it out on my glove and loved it. But that's funny that you found this so long ago, and then it kind of just was a perfect synergy for you. I think that's a little bit of like our story, Coach Crates. I mean, we wanted to be involved in baseball, and it was a perfect synergy. We want to help coaches and players, and work in it somehow, and we developed a product, and kind of same with you. You found this need, developed it, and it's great.
Yeah. So I wanted to finish answering a question. What is actually, for the listeners, if you don't know exactly what it is, I've had many additions, renditions, models, and molds done to get it a smaller, flatter glove lock that has a wide mouth and strong teeth, so that you can slide it on the laces for the thumb and the pinky down to the base, and has teeth on there that can kind of grab the leather, and has a button you can slide it down and you can pull that leather strap tight, and so you can have your thumb and your pinkies locked into your glove as tight as you want it. You can make it as tight as possible, or you can loosen it. I say it's incredible for infielders. I'm targeting the younger guys because they're more open to different and new things. Older people, especially baseball players, and I think you can understand, stuck in their ways. Right? Don't mess with my glove. And I 100% appreciate and respect that, because if you touch my glove, we're going to have words. So I get that, but there's the whole tradition versus progress. And it's like, okay, I understand. If you're anybody out there who's willing to open up the knot and you slide these glove locks on, they don't add any weight. They're basically weightless. They're extremely strong. They're extremely durable, and they hold that thumb down tight. And you can't tell me that the fit isn't better. And so if I can just get the younger kids to then spread the word, that's great. The older kids, I'm still working on, because they just have a little bit of an ego. And
when you have that glove for a while, like you're saying, that hesitation to change is a little greater in that case. But a younger guy that buys a brand new glove, try that on the new glove, why not?
So true.
And what the big thing I noticed, and that you were just touching upon when I was using it, is you don't notice it's there. You really don't, and it's flat up against the outside of the glove, in comparison to a knot, which I often found would kind of dig into the outside of the leather, kind of make a break in weird. If you're doing any glove conditioner or anything on like that, like it would often like break it in a little weird with those knots on the outside. But it was really easy to treat, like if I was putting glove oil on or anything for my old glove. But I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I've actually, nowadays kids have 1 and 2 gloves, 3 gloves. You can buy game ready gloves, but a lot of people love the break-in process. And I've actually taken the glove locks, I left them on, and I've taken a mallet to them and just crushed them, and I can't get them to break that way. So they're virtually indestructible. So that helps that way. But you're right. You just don't notice that they're there. I don't know if you've noticed that a lot of the major leaguers, and then the young kids are just following suit. They're not tying their laces. They no longer even tie the knot. They just pull on them. They tug on them. And that's major leaguers, and they have humongous hands, so it's a little different. But younger kids follow suit, and they want to do the same thing. Combined with the change in a lot of, I'm sure, David, if you played shortstop, right, your forefinger, your pointer finger was always out, and now kids are going 2 in the pinky, and so you have to fit 2 pink. Sometimes they go 2 in the pinky, so you have to fit 2 fingers in there or 1 finger in. And if you have it tied tight, how do you adjust it quickly? What if you want to just put 1 finger or out of batting glove? So how do you take that knot off? You have a perfect knot. But if you have a knot and then you throw lotion on it or rain or whatever, that knot gets pretty tight. So having the ability to adjust quickly on the fly, in between innings, in between pitches is huge, I think. And so that's one of the benefits.
For sure.
One of the benefits.
Yeah. All the kids that I was coaching, 2 in the pinky. I don't know when, that started. I know like outfielders have been doing that for a while,
Right.
but like infielders now, like all the kids I was coaching, they're doing that. And I just personally never liked that feel. But yeah, you got to have it super loose to put both your fingers in there, and you might not even be able to tie knot. So
right. And so maybe that's why they leave it open potentially.
Mhm.
And outfielders did it for a long time because they wanted a deeper pocket, and they wanted that ball going in and not coming out. But as an infielder, if it hit the middle of your palm, it was gone. You're trying to transfer it as fast as possible. So I always wanted to feel that thing. So I only had one piece.
Yeah. Definitely.
So I think you're being humble with this, Paul. This is an award-winning GloveLock, right?
Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, it was. Owning your own business is very different than being an employee or working at some place. There's a lot of risk involved, and I remember being at home. I had not sold one GloveLock yet, not one. One guy emailed me out of Kansas City one time who was interested, and I sent him some for free because I was so happy that he emailed me. This is 2015, 16 or so. And I think 2017, I had read an article that said, you need to go to every trade show you can possibly go to. So I said, okay, I'm not going to try to fight it. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'm going to go. So I just Googled it, and ABCA, the American Baseball Coaches Association, it popped up. It's the largest convention for coaches, baseball coaches. Maybe there's some softball, but it's baseball. The largest convention happened to be happening in like 2 weeks in Anaheim, and I live close to Anaheim. I'm like 35 minutes from there. So it was just and usually, here's the thing, is they're usually in either the Midwest or like Tennessee or Indianapolis, and they just happened to be in Anaheim that year. And I said, you know what? Perfect. And you got it. I had to take that leap. I had a talk with my wife, and I said, you know what? I'm going to have to, put some serious money where my mouth is, so to speak, and get a booth. And there's a lot that goes into it, getting all the marketing materials and signs and all that. And I did it within like a week and a half. Was inside the show in Anaheim, and had not sold one GloveLock. And I recruited my family. I have 2 brothers, older, younger, and my dad, to come with me. Got them all geared up, and we showed up. And I'll never forget is my little brother, who's not so little, he's 35 at the time. He was the trade show on day 1. My older brother was there, and he helped me. And it was crazy. It was nuts. It was just, I was bombarded, and it was awesome. And I was there just to hand them out, just, hey, here they are, try them out. And I was getting, I don't want to say crushed because that's a bad word. I was getting bombarded, a lot of attention. And my little brother showed up for day 2, and he brought a book. And he started reading. When the doors opened, he was reading a book. I said, hey, Steven, what are you doing? He says, I'm reading a book. I said, you got to get up. And he gave me a funny look. And I'm not joking. Like 3 hours later, he said, Paul, you got to quit your job. This is insane. And that's what you kind of want. I mean, if you have something that is just a hit, you're looking for that. It's just that lightning in a bottle, that gold. And I got such incredible feedback. And then you do submit your product. And I think there was, I want to say, anywhere from 10 to 15 best in show products, all different kinds. They come by, they grab your material, they submit it to a board, and then they vote on it. And it won best in show that year, my first year. So I went from not selling one to best in show. And so then that's when I said, okay, I have something here.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty
Dave,
cool.
Are you taking notes? We need to get a booth to pod and plug Coach Crates.
Yeah. No, I mean, we've been looking into the ABCA, doing it, in the relatively near future. So hopefully we can do it soon. Yeah, no, it's a huge event. We do some sponsorship stuff with ABCA. They're just a powerhouse. Like everybody that is super knowledgeable on the coaching side or is well connected is a part of ABCA, and it's an awesome group. We partner with their their nonprofit, Turn 2 for Youth. So we work with them, which is nice.
They have a nonprofit.
Turn 2 for Youth. Yeah.
Yeah, they are. I mean, if you're a baseball person walking in the doors, now I was not a part of I couldn't leave the booth. I've done 2 shows now. Supposedly the breakdowns, I think they call them breakdowns, or the lectures are incredible. And the people they have there are really good. There's a lot of learning going on. But as far as products, it's the coolest place to be if you're a baseball guy and you're a gear guy, and especially with your business. It's the best place in the world to be as far as pushing your not only your business but learning about the products out there. And that's how I got my name out there initially for the first couple of years. This year, I think they're in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah, Nashville. Yeah, it's all that.
Dave?
We might have to take a trip out there, Quinny. What do you think?
Yeah,
yeah, it's worth going. I mean, usually I would love to have a booth there, and they keep calling me to have a booth there, and I had to skip this year. They open up the 2nd, January 2nd, and I'd have to get there the 1st, and I don't know if I've ever flown anywhere on the 1st of January. It's craziness, and so it would have been real tough for me to navigate that, and so I had to wait. I'm going to wait till next year and go. So
yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I forget what we were looking at for this year. It might have been that, or I don't know. I think a couple of my partners had some logistic stuff there that we couldn't do it, but I think we're trying to do it next year. So
it's worth it.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely want to do it. It's I've gotten nothing but great feedback on how great the event is and everything. So
if you're a baseball nut, there's so much cool baseball stuff. All the up and coming stuff. That's the technology, the training stuff, the tools. I love it.
Yeah, definitely.
That's great.
So I guess maybe we'll take a few seconds here and do a little giveaway. I wanted to do a little GloveLock giveaway here for the listeners. What we'll do is when this gets released, the first 2 people that message us on our Facebook page, Coach Crates, all they got to do is message us GloveLock. I'll send a set of GloveLocks each as kind of a giveaway here. So everybody listening, just message us GloveLocks at our Facebook page, Coach Crates, and we'll message you back. And if you're one of the first 2 people, we'll send it to you. So we'll do that just to get a little bit more word out on GloveLock. And now I want to throw some quick pitch questions at you here, Paul.
Sure.
So yeah, we asked these to all of our guests. They're just kind of cool baseball questions, and everybody's got a different answer. So first question, what is your favorite baseball movie?
Good one. I'm going to go outside the norm and say Fever Pitch.
Fever Pitch, okay.
Big Jimmy Fallon guy.
Yeah. Well, Drew Barrymore more than Jimmy Fallon.
But yeah. Come on.
Yeah. It is not the normal. Of course, you could say the natural and the other way. Fever Pitch to me, it's just so much fun. Just especially the way they had to completely re-edit the ending because the incredible 3-0 comeback from the Yankees on the from the Red Sox on the Yankees. It was historical in the way they ended it, and they had just happened to film during it and the whole nine, and they completely re-edited the entire movie to go with how the baseball actually ended with the Red Sox coming back.
That's such a charming movie. I like that pick.
Charming.
Yeah. Different.
It is.
Different. I mean, Field of Dreams, the natural, but no, Fever Pitch.
Yeah,
that is a really good movie.
Speaking of winning 3 games straight,
dude, come on, we're doing quick pitch. I am not going to rant about the Minnesota Twins right now. I don't want to scare Paul. I don't want to scare the listeners. I don't want.
There is a rumor that Mitch Garver is using glove locks on his glove. That is a rumor.
Whoa, that's huge. A catcher.
I've been trying really hard to get a shot, because it's so fast. It's tough to get a zone in on the picture on the actual gloves. But the word
That's
is
awesome.
that I gave some to somebody, and they were connected to the Twins, and Mitch Garver, they had played baseball with Mitch, and so gave it to him. That was a year ago, so I don't know if he used them this year, but I do have a number of minor leaguers using them. Some in the Cubs and some in the Padres using them.
That's fantastic.
Catchers, yeah.
Very cool.
Wow.
That's awesome. Okay. All right. Question 2 here. One piece of advice you could give a high school player trying to play at the next level.
That's interesting. Good question. Like a technical one? Technical.
It can be. It can be simple. We've gotten technical. We've gotten mindset stuff. Something that maybe helped you, or something looking back.
Well, I'll tell you what. I know that from my personal experience. I went in at very like a highly touted high school player, and went into college. And of course, you hear the whole big fish, small pond going into a big fish into a big pond. And so I went in, and my confidence was challenged right off the bat. And in hindsight, and it was challenged almost purposefully, and I didn't like that, and I never understood that. The whole break a player down, build them back up. I never understood that. I didn't identify that with that. So if you in baseball, which is a game of failure, and if you're coming out of high school and you're trying to play college ball, you have to be extremely confident in your abilities and to stay true to your confidence and what you think you can do and what you can do. There's an element of humility. You have to stay humble, but you have to be extremely confident in what you can do, because you're a 400, 500 hitter in high school. It's a lot more challenging in college, and so there's going to be a lot of failure. And the big game is all about failure, how you handle it. And so that would be my number one piece of advice: would be hold true to and stay confident in yourself, stay humble, work hard, but at the same time, stay really confident in yourself, because it's got to come from somewhere.
I assume when you started coaching, you used that, philosophy not to, challenge or exert your power over a player just for, intimidation or building them up.
Right.
I assume that you use that philosophy.
I think you read between the lines on that one. That was exactly what happened to me when I went to college. I started out as, either a starter or the first guy off the bench. And by the end, I didn't want to play baseball anymore, because the coach would just berate me until I was I didn't think I could play the game of baseball. And by the end, I couldn't. And so he was right by the end. And I just asked him at the end of the season, I said, why did you, what was the purpose of that? And he said, I wanted to break you down to see when you broke. And I just was like, well, congratulations. You did a good job.
Yeah.
You took a really confident kid and you made him shove his baseball bag in the attic, literally in the attic, for 4 years.
Yeah.
Including my glove.
It's a shame.
Yeah, it's a shame. Yeah. I mean, I hold that. I mean, that was 1999, and I still hold that. I take that personally, and that was a shot to my ego. So, I don't think he ever messed with my ego. He just messed with my passion for the game, and I never wanted to take that away from a kid. So, if anything, I was all about bringing kids, positivity, and having them be okay and acknowledge failure. Because if you get a hit, the pitcher failed. And if the pitcher strikes you out, then the hitter failed. So there's failure all over the place. So how do you handle that? And I always felt that I was, in my game, why I was better than others, is that I was able to handle it. If I went 0 for 3 for 3 strikeouts, it did not go into my fourth at bat. So I was always confident that way. So, and you need that, especially going in from high school to college. It's tough. There's a lot of good pitchers out there. There's a lot of good hitters out there. So the competition is tough. So you just have to stay really confident when, when some guy maybe has your number, or a coach wants to get down in your head. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a powerful story for a lot of kids coming up, and also for coaches to kind of hear this too. I think, what you're kind of describing is probably a little bit old school methodology. A lot of coaches used to, I think, be about, breaking you down, seeing what you're made of kind of approach. But, as the game has kind of changed, I think it's so much more important to pull the lessons out from the failure versus trying to cause it and trying to get the player to understand it for themselves, because sometimes they might not I think you need to be that coach that's, and we've talked to a lot of different consultants and coaches thus far on the show, and I think everybody, that we've interviewed at least has been on the same approach here. You got to kind of be a mentor first before, the players got to trust you before you can, challenge them like that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how the game's changed, and I think a lot of coaches' methodology with failure and challenging the players has as well with it. So
it's very interesting and very powerful.
It's going in the right direction, though. I mean, the guys that we've interviewed who coach players now, they stress the importance of getting to know a player, just to know what their tipping point is, and just to try to, what you said, promote positivity and focus on their strengths.
Right. Yeah, I don't think breaking a player down and building him back up has anything to do with sports.
Right. Yeah.
Not my thing.
It's just authority. That's not that is not what you want when you're a baseball coach.
Yeah.
And in baseball, the game itself is going to do that. So that's always been my thought process. The game itself is going to beat down the player. The coach doesn't have to do it as well. So they're going to learn what they need to learn from the game, and we're supposed to be here as a mentor to help guide them out of the the darkness or the lows and get them back up to the highs. But
I agree with that, and I think technology is helping with that. So if the guy's struggling, you don't bury him in the sand. You say, okay, hey, let's take this incredible technology we have and figure out, do you have a hitch? Are you not loading properly? Is your timing off? Or,
exactly.
If it's fielding, you get to pull the guy off the side and work on the fielding. Look at the shortstop for the Oakland A's. He was an MVP candidate this year. 4 years ago, he couldn't field the ground ball. Marcus Siemens, whatever. He was. It's a Simeon. You could have buried him. You could have kicked him to the curb, but he's now an MVP potential candidate in the American League a couple years later, including one of the best defensive shortstops in the game. If you can turn around that negative and make it a positive just by using the technology and breaking down, hey, why are you not succeeding? Let's figure this out together. And I think that's invaluable. That's priceless.
Definitely. Couldn't agree more. Okay, so last question here before we wrap up. And this kind of goes perfect along with our conversation here, but what was the biggest lesson you have learned from baseball?
Oh, it's easily 100% is how to deal with failure. That's it. I think that's huge. I think that's what a lot of people have trouble with is dealing with failure. Is when you go 0 for 3 with 3 ugly strikeouts, you have the opportunity to win the game in the bottom, the 7th or the 9th or whatever you're in, just with one swing of the bat. But if you can't handle the failure, that's going to affect your later at bat or your later approach. You're not going to be as successful as you potentially could be. So I think my ability to handle failure. So when it comes to business with the GloveLock, I know challenges are coming. I know there's going to be problems with manufacturing or delivery or the mail or, a negative review. Somebody, especially with social media today, people and kids get on there and they trash a product. And I'm like, I'm so sorry you didn't like the GloveLock, and they've never even used it. Right. But they just want to trash it. So how do you handle negativity? How do you handle the pressure of failure? And then just keep going. Keep moving forward. You know what?
Yeah.
The last 3 at-bats don't matter. The last error doesn't matter. The guy, if you're a pitcher, if the guy just give up back-to-back jacks, you got to focus in and hone in on the next pitch. You cannot have what do they say? Short memory. I don't want to have a short memory because I always want to put that in my bank and remember it, but learn from it and just grow from it. And that's I use that every day of my life. And that's why I think that's a big part of my confidence level. I have an extraordinary amount of confidence in myself because I'm going to take my failures. I'm going to look at them. I'm not going to crush myself. I'm going to critically look at them. And I'm going to say, what did I do? How can I get better? Did he win? Understand that maybe the pitcher was better than you that day or that moment, but I'm going to get him next time. So I take those failures and I learn from them. I hold on to them in a sense that I put them in the memory bank, but I don't dwell. I move on to the next thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think, us coming from that baseball mentality, it's super great and powerful for us that to then take that into business, because a lot of, I think, business owners are afraid to fail as well. And when you take on your own project, when you put your name on something, when you put yourself out there, you're gonna fail. It's inevitable. You're gonna make mistakes along the way, and you can't be afraid of it. You got to embrace it. You got to learn from it. You got to keep moving on. So I'm grateful, and I think you sound the same, Paul, that we've had baseball in our lives to give us that mentality as we stepped into the business world.
100%. Yep.
So I guess last thing would be, where can our listeners learn a little bit more about GloveLock and about you, Paul?
Well, you can always find me on Instagram at the GloveLock, at the GloveLock. I'm always on there. Also have my website is www.theglovelock.com. Those are my two spots where you can check me out. Those are the easiest ways to get a hold of me. You can always email me at paul@theglovelock.com. I always on my cards, I put my name. Some of them, I think I have my phone number on them. You can call me. You can email me if you have any questions or concerns. I want to know if the GloveLock's failed. I want to know. I'm going to take care of you. I believe in my product. I back it 100%. If you have any questions, because a lot of people don't quite understand it. And so I deal with emails all the time, and I explain things and I help people out. You can email me. You can call me if you want. My phone number is on Instagram too, so you can push a button and call me if you need to. But mostly it's if you want to check out the product, it's www.theglovelock.com.
Paul DeBellis, everybody, thank you so much for coming on our podcast, Dugout Therapy. This was very informative, and I think a lot of guys are going to be listening to this and then resonating that issue with the glove and then looking in your product.
Thank you so much, David and Quinn. I appreciate that. Best of luck to you guys in your product. I love it. I love everything about the Coach Grades.
Thanks, Paul. We appreciate you having on. It was awesome chatting with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for listening to Dugout Therapy. Just finished up a really great episode with GloveLock founder Paul DeBellis. Was really great talking with him about his experience coming up, playing high school, college ball, and he's still playing. He's been playing for 19 years, so it's just awesome to hear his story about failure and kind of how you kind of overcome obstacles and stuff, and really, what you can learn from baseball in general. So it was a great episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. We just ask if you listen to us on Apple, please subscribe to the podcast there. Leave us a review. We love to hear from you and get your feedback. But yeah, hit subscribe there so that you get the updates on the episodes. And when a new one comes out, it'll pop up there for you guys to give it a listen. If you listen on Spotify, Google Podcasts, anywhere else, you can listen to us there as well. We're on all of the big ones, Google, Spotify, CastBox, Spreaker, and SoundCloud. So give us a listen, guys. But thank you very much, and talk to you on the next Dugout Therapy.